Let's bow. God, we thank you for this great day. We thank you for your many blessings. We thank you for your love and your kindness. We pray your peace, God, over this university. We ask that you continue to watch over our students, faculty, and staff. We pray for your guidance even in this space, in this meeting. In your name we pray. Amen.
Man, thank you, Dean. Trustee Martin. Welcome, Trustee Lewis.
Trustee Martin.
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Hey, Tim. Tim, can you turn that up?
Yes, we can.
Okay. We can hear you.
Okay. The March 14th, 2024 Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee is now called to order. Before we get started, we need to make certain findings on the record regarding the necessity for conducting this meeting by electronic participation without a physical court present. In accordance with the Tennessee Code Annotated Section 844-108B2, as chair of the Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee, I offer the following facts and circumstances in support of a finding of necessity for the Board of Trustees, Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee to conduct its March 14th, 2024 meeting without a physical presence of a quorum. The Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee is scheduled to take up important committee matters with timely action by the committee, including but not limited to the approval of a new academic program, a certificate in teaching English to speakers of other language, and a change in academic program degree designation from Masters of Arts in Education to Masters of Science degrees in Human Performance and Sports Science. Participation by electronic means is necessitated by members in person, absence due to avoidable travel issues. Accordingly, I move that the committee finds that the participation by a quorum of the committee members by electronic means of communication is necessary. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Questions on the motion to find participation by a quorum of the committee members by electronic means of communication is necessary. Extra Attorney, please call the roll.
Trustee Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Andre Johnson.
Yes.
Trustee Bill Johnson.
Yes.
We have 3 ayes.
Thank you. We will proceed with the meeting with the quorum process. At this time, we need to call the roll. Hamilton, please call the roll.
Trustee Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Andre Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Bill Johnson.
Here.
Trustee Sean Wimberly. Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Committee members, if you cannot hear or speak to other committee members or board members, please say so now. For each committee member participating electronically, please identify any individual who's present in the location from which you are participating. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the November 6, 2023 Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee meeting minutes. The Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee November 16, 2023 meeting minutes are included for your review in the board materials for the March 14, 2024 board committee meeting minutes as contained in board materials for the March 14th, 2024 meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Questions on the motion to recommend to the full board the approval of the November 16th, 2023 Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee meeting minutes as contained in your board materials for the March 14th, 2024 board meeting. Secretary Townsend, please call the roll.
Trustee Martin?
Aye.
Trustee Andre Johnson?
Aye.
Trustee Bill Johnson?
Aye.
3 ayes.
Thank you, sir. The motion is approved. The next item on the agenda is the approval of a new academic program in the College of Education, a certificate in teaching English to speakers of other languages. The materials for this agenda item are included for your review in the board materials for the March 14, 2024 meeting. Dr. Glover, I'm asking you or your designate to provide information in connection with this agenda item, please.
Thank you, Chair Martin. I'm going to ask if Provost Melton will present this.
Good morning, everyone. Chair Martin, members of the board. On behalf of Academic Affairs, College of Education, we're asking for the approval of a new academic program, Certificate in Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages. We also have Dean Janet Finch. If she would just step up very briefly for any background information, and we have documented the need. We have coordinated with Metro Nashville Public School as well as our community. Thank you, Dr. Finch.
President Glover, Chairperson Cole, members of the Board of Trustees. Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay. President Glover and Chairperson Cole, members of the Board of Trustees, and to all of my other colleagues, it is first, good morning. It's a blessing and a pleasure to be here. I'm here today on behalf of the university and the College of Education, where we operate in a spirit of excellence. I'm here today requesting your approval to proceed with the offering of what we call TESOL. TESOL stands for Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages. Now, we are very well situated to offer this certificate program. It meets a growing demand. The demand for qualified TESOL instructors is rising globally and within the state of Tennessee. This program will equip individuals with a certificate to teach English outside of the United States. It also enhances the diversity and global efforts of our university. A TESOL certificate will attract students from diverse backgrounds interested in teaching English globally. It fosters intercultural understanding and prepares graduates to work effectively in an increasingly interconnected world. And lastly, it builds on existing strengths. We have the strength in our teaching and learning department within the College of Education through our faculty. Therefore, we would not be asking for any additional resources. So I stand before you this morning pleading with you to please approve this requested certificate, TESOL.
Thank you, Dr. Finch. And on behalf of the Office of Academic Affairs, we also make the recommendation for approval.
I move approval.
I have a question.
Thank you. I'm not sure who that was. I think I heard someone say they have a question.
Sure.
Actually, we should go ahead and have a second, and then we have a discussion. So are you seconding? Trustee Martin? Okay. Andre Johnson, second.
So, how does it work? For example, if I wanted to teach English to a group of people that spoke Swahili, and then someone else wanted to teach a group that spoke Mandarin. So, are we being? Is this about teaching methods? Is that what this is, or what?
Well, methods would be included. We are not requesting approval of any new courses. We currently have courses already in the teaching and learning department that would suffice approving, putting together this certificate. It will only take 11 credit hours.
Yes, and to say that we already have the program, this is almost a streamlined way. Instead of getting a full degree, and many of our public schools teachers have a degree already, this will give them the certificate to go forward.
Okay, do we have any additional questions or discussion? I move for the Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee to recommend to the full board the approval of a new academic program in the College of Education, a certificate in teaching English to speakers of other languages as contained in your board materials for the March 14, 2024 board meeting. Is there a second?
There was already a second made, so that was just, that's to call the question now.
Okay, so the question from the motion to recommend to the full board the approval of a new academic program in the College of Education, a certificate in teaching English of speakers of other languages as contained in board materials for the March 14th, 2024 board meeting. Secretary Thompson, please call the roll, sir.
Trustee Martin,
Aye.
Trustee Andre Johnson,
Aye.
Trustee Bill Johnson,
Aye.
3 ayes.
Thank you. So the motion is approved. The next item on the agenda is the
Thank you very
approval of a
much.
change in the academic program degree designation from the Master's of Science in Education to the Master's of Science degree in Human Performance and Sports Science. The materials for this agenda item are included for your review in board materials for the March 14, 2024 board meeting. Dr. Glover, will you or your designee provide information in connection with this agenda item?
Thank you. That's Melton.
Yes, thank you again, board members. We're asking for approval of academic program modification for the Master of Science in Human Performance and Sports Sciences. Dean Barreto.
Good morning, President Glover, Chair Martin, and members of the Board of Trustees. On behalf of the Department of Human Performance and Sports Sciences and the College of Health Sciences, we'd like to request approval for the awarding of the MS, Master of Science in Human Performance and Sports Sciences, in place of the Master of Arts in Education, MAED. So, as a brief history, the Human Performance and Sports Science Department used to be housed in the College of Education, and the previous department's name was the Department of Health, Physical Education, and Recreation. And so that department developed the MAED degree for the purpose of teacher training. Since 1994, the program has continued to evolve and change its focus. It continues the teacher training, but it has evolved with the times to include sport administration and exercise science. And so when there was a college restructuring in 2012, the HPER department went under the College of Health Sciences, and the name has changed to HPSS, Human Performance and Sports Sciences. With a new focus in sport administration and exercise science, we'd like to change the name to an MS degree instead of an MAED degree because of a change in focus and the changing times. So we'd like to request the board's approval.
And we thank you, Dean Barreto, and on behalf of the Office of Academic Affairs, and with our review and investigation, board members, we are asking for approval.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or any discussion? I move that the Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee to recommend to the full board the approval of a change in the academic program degree designated from the Master's of Arts in Education, the Master's of Science degree in Human Performance and Sports Sciences as contained in your board materials for the March 14th, 2024 board meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? The questions on the motion to recommend to the full board the approval of change in the academic program degree designation from the Master's of Arts in Education to the Master's of Science degree in Human Performance and Art Sciences as contained in your board materials for the March 14, 2024 board meeting. As Chair Timmerson, please call the roll.
Trustee Martin.
Aye.
Trustee Andre Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Bill Johnson.
Aye.
3 ayes.
Thank you.
Thank you. The motion is approved. The next item on the agenda is SAC accreditation update. Information pertaining to this agenda item is included in your March 14, 2024 board materials. Again, I'm asking President Glover or her designee to provide pertinent information related to this agenda item. This is informational discussion item only, so no vote will be required.
Thank you. Dr. Melton?
Yes. I am so pleased to share with you on behalf of SAC COC, our accrediting body, we are in good standing and proactive in moving forward with our 5-year plan. We have Dr. Anderson here, who has been leading the charge for us. In fact, we have already started to meet in preparing our reports. We have had 2 outside consultants to work with us. And again, I want everyone to realize this is a moving target of excellence. And I am pleased to share with you all on behalf of Academic Affairs, not only do we adhere to these standards, we have the spirit of the standards for quality. So we have a full update. If you have any question, again, we have Dr. Anderson here leading the charge. Dr. Anderson, would you stand to be recognized? And President Glover, it is a good point where we are in good standing, but we're more than in good standing. We are moving forward as a role model for all.
Thank you. That's our report, Trustee Martin.
Thank you for that. President Glover, I'd like to thank you and your entire staff for working on this. If you have never been a part of going through this accreditation, you have no earthly idea of the time and work, the effort that goes into this, and to hear the excitement in your voice that you are in good standing, I appreciate that because I know that you have gone through a lot to get to this point. So thank you to everyone for your participation, and Dr. Glover, thank you for your leadership always in making this work and having the university to be the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
The next agenda item is the Academic Affairs Report. Information regarding this Academic Affairs and Student Affairs agenda item is included in your March 14, 2024 board materials. President Glover, I'm asking you, can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm asking you to provide pertinent information related to this agenda item. Again, this is informational discussion item only, so no vote will be required.
thank you. So Trustee Thank you, Trustee Martin. Dr. Melton, you want to continue?
Yes, this is the good part. Trustee Martin, board members, Dr. Glover, you have within your package a brief overview. We could have filled this entire folder up, but I asked our deans and our chairs just to give us a summary from each department as well as our units. You have in front of you from the College of Engineering, our outstanding faculty member who secured a Navy grant, making us one of the first HBCUs. You have the College of Health Sciences, noting the grant agreement that they have for the public health Administration and Health Services. You have the College of Liberal Arts. By the way, tomorrow with the Black Design Conference, people coming from all over the world starting today for that conference. That's Dean Morgan Curtis. You have the College of Life and Physical Science, of course, with the coordination with the Levi Watkins, as well as the College of Public Service, cultivating change, creating a supportive environment. You have the graduate school going out and doing innovation and recruiting, addressing some needs and bringing back what we consider excellence and in competition with the other universities, private and public. Again, on behalf of the Academic Achievement and Retention Center, we have academic tutoring, everyone, 7 days a week, online, on ground, in the hospital, if you're there, if you're in the dorms, on campus, and we are enhancing that with technology of virtual reality, augmented reality, esports, and we are able to document an increase in retention. We have a retention report as well as engagement. We also have the Honors College. By the way, next week is Dean Jackson here. Dean Jackson will be celebrating 60 years of the Honors College with over 3,000 students. We move to our international affairs. Dr. Glover and board members, I am pleased to share with you we have record-breaking data of our Intensive English Center as well as our International Global Partnership with Dr. Phillips, with new partners coming from all over the globe. Global Online, Tennessee State eLearn. Ladies and gentlemen, we had a winter storm to hit us the first day of school. On behalf of the Global Online, Dr. C.A. and her team and all of the academic affairs and student affairs, we were able without a hint to move our entire program and university online, in which we stayed virtually until it was safe for everyone, staff and students, to return to school. We also have the support of Title III that you will see around the campus, as well as our academic career pathways, in which we will have the National NACE president on campus next week. I end with you in terms of the Smart Technology Center that also includes our adult ed and extended ed. I am pleased to share with you that Tennessee State University is recognized as one of the leaders when it comes to artificial intelligence, emerging technology, and addressing community needs in terms of the digital divide. I end with this. It is a pleasure, I say that passionately, to work with the deans, the chairs council, the faculty senate, and our community in making sure we are excellence in our programs and services. I thank you. I publicly thank all of the academic affairs administrators, especially the AVPs, our support service. We are Tennessee State University.
Dr. Melton, before I ask a question, the first thing I want to say is thank you. I have had the chance to work with the Success Center, quite frankly, and I use the Writing Center for my law school applications, and they help get my personal statement right. And of course, I'm in the College of Ag, so this is amazing stuff. I think this is what makes up our university. Of course, the academic piece is the biggest part of TSU. So I do have to ask this question on a side note. So I have been talking with some community members who have been talking with me for, I want to say 2 years now, maybe 3 before I became a student trustee, and they have been, I believe the board had approved to change the Africana Studies Department.
Yes, I can address that.
So yeah, so I wanted to hear, because they have been talking, and I've been talking with them, and part of me is aligned with this type of Afrocentric study here at HBCU. So I just wanted to hear if there were any
Oh, yes,
thoughts
I
here.
have updates. And again, thank you for mentioning the Tutoring the Academic Center. That's under the leadership of Dr. Johnny Smith, Belinda Lee, Dr. Harris, Dr. Pirtle, Dr. Carr. They need to be recognized because you can attest to the energy, the whole restructuring of that. Yes.
Community, like it's very. I hate to cut you off, but I met Dr. Carr when he was Mr. Carr.
Yeah.
And he came to me, pulled me aside. He not only did he help tutor me, but he brought me in as one of his mentees. So that helped get me through my second half of my junior year and going into my my senior year. So he's yeah.
Well, he's not doctor yet, but he's in the doctor
Right.
program. He will be doctor. Okay. Leave it to me. That's good. Okay. But yes, let me address that. And I have Dean Morgan Cordes on hand. Is she in the back? Okay, yes, please come up to the front. Let me share right now to you. We are dedicated. Dr. Glover has provided guidance and support. We will have a major, not a minor, a major here. We are at HBCU. This is the place for Africana Studies. And with that, we are restructuring the entire program. I have personally met with some of the community members, and I'm here so Dean Morgan Curtis, in which that department will follow under, will give an update. Yes.
Before she gives an update, I do want to just commend you, Trustee Wimberly, for bringing up the Afrocentric conversation today, because we have worked on this for a while. We ran into some roadblocks a few years ago with TBR. We have straightened those out now. I have given the directive to the area, to their college, that we must have bring back Afro Studies as a major, because as an African American institution, HBCU, it's no excuse for us not to address it, not to have it as a major. And so we are very close now. And Dr. Melton is all the way in. Dr. Morgan Curtis is in. So now we're just putting together, structure together, and she's going to tell us more about that now. Thanks.
Yes, thank you for that. So right now we have Dr. Mott, who is our senior Africana Studies faculty member, is working on with the committee on revising the letter of notification to THEC. They asked for some revisions. We had a fantastic meeting during homecoming. We brought together quite a few of the alumni, and they were actually able to provide great letters of support. I've been talking to Dr. Al-Hadid, who's given quite a bit of support and a lot of history and motivation to us. As we move through that, we are going to announce very shortly a hiring of a new faculty member, and we're about to post a third position. And so all of that is moving forward, and we're very excited about that in the College of Liberal Arts. I can't announce the new faculty member yet, of course, because that contract is in process, and as you know, nothing is official till Dr. Glover signs off.
You know they're going to say it's on my desk,
Right.
but it's not there yet. I haven't seen it yet. But so thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Dr. Curtis.
Of course.
Dr. Melton, I have a
Thank you.
question.
Trustee Mike, this is Deborah Cole. May I have a comment, please? May I make a comment, ma'am?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I would just like to say that life is good, Dr. Melton.
It is, Dr. Cole. It is.
But it is good because it brings me such great pleasure to be at other educational institutions and hear about them coming to Tennessee State University to get information on artificial intelligence. I received an email with a number of programs listed on it, and the individual had been over here at TSU from the institution, another institution, and gotten the information. Dr. Melton has put us on the map with artificial intelligence, and I want to recognize her for that.
Well, thank you.
I do hear Dr. Melton is very well thought of in this area and spoken about very positively from THEC. And I just want to say thank you, Dr. Melton. Life is good.
Life is good. And remember, that's my passion. And Dr. Glover, upon leaving the Tennessee Board of Regents, everyone, to retire, before I could even get a foot out of the door, she asked me to come and help the institution with technology, emerging technology, code and create, to bring Tennessee State in a position where we are recognized worldwide. We serve Chairman Cole as the hub for all of the HBCUs when it comes to code and create and open education. But it is a pleasure because I cannot do this by myself. I have 51 fellows, AI fellows in this room, some on this board, some over in the audience. We have deans all the way to our students. Tennessee State is the place when you talk about artificial intelligence, from students all the way to our community. So I thank you all.
I'm looking forward to coming and getting some of that education.
Yes, even
Thank
as
you.
my glasses are AI. Right,
Okay.
Dr. Pennant? Yes.
Correct, and that, and so here, so my question. So I asked a question at the last board meeting: what guardrails are we placing around the use of artificial intelligence, not necessarily in the classroom, but in our business practices? And so,
Yes.
the federal government is wrestling with the guardrails
Yes.
for the country, so we must be wrestling with it too.
Oh, we're
But-
wrestling.
All right. So I think something needs to rise to the board level
Yes.
so that the board can put some things in place in terms of limitations
Yes.
as we explore the frontier.
Yes, so on behalf of this committee and on the federal government as well as SRB, we are looking at guardrails. But you have to remember, this technology is evolving, it's growing, and thus we have a moving target. So we have even draft policies right now. We're looking at AI in terms of even preschool because it's going that low as well as, but yes, you better believe we have guardrails, we have best practices and standards here at Tennessee State.
Well, I don't know if the board, I don't know if I, as a board member, would understand what those guardrails are.
Yes,
So I think we need, at this level,
yes,
to understand, because there are pitfalls, you know,
Yes.
with respect to confidentiality, with respect
Yes,
to
safety.
permission and, consent, all of that is
Yes.
part of it. And so we need to have an understanding, and I think state what, as best we can at this point, even if the policy has to be changed, what.
yes, so
Yeah.
So I'm here, you're asking me to bring back to the board some guardrails, some best practices, and without a doubt, I will bring that. But one I'm working on right now is to help faculty to understand how to use this in the classroom. We have to know how to cite it, we have to know how to vet it, we have to acknowledge it, and again, we have to apply it. But I will be very happy to bring our draft to you.
And probably Secretary Pendleton needs to, look at that as well, so.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah, but be under review. I think one of the things we might be looking at is either, because based on what Dr. Melton's talking about, is either some sort of board resolution that speaks to
Yes.
the importance of AI and the guardrails, but at the same time, as Dr. Melton's talking about, it's a fast-moving train, and it'd be broad enough so that she's not coming back to the board
Yes.
as every time as it evolves.
So before it goes back to the trustee Martin, we just appreciate everything that Dr. Melton has done with artificial intelligence and her team. We mentioned it yesterday in the meeting when we presented to the Senate. But I wanted to end this on the fact that how proud I am that we are finally going to bring Africana Studies back. I'm happy it's going to be part of my legacy because that's my commitment. Having grown up in a civil rights home, and it just means so much to bring that back. So I'm really appreciative of all the hard work that the deans have done, Dr. Melton has done, the whole College of Liberal Arts. I just really appreciate what you all have done on that note. And thank you for bringing it up, Trustee Wembley. Trustee Martin.
Chair Martin, if I can make one quick comment. I want to point out to the board that Academic Affairs and the College of Education have come up with a creative solution. They've looked internally and so they saw a bottleneck in our EDD program to complete, and they come up with a creative, out-of-the-box thinking solution of a boot camp. They've run it through all the appropriate channels of grad council and curriculum committees and all those kind of things. Probably the most important and the interesting part about this is there's some aged course content that some of these students have, and they have come up with a revalidation component in this boot camp. And so I personally believe that it's going to drive some changes in some policies that we have in the graduate school.
Yes.
And so I just want to acknowledge that creative thinking and outside the box and coming up with a solution to a longstanding problem. So thank you very much.
And I thank the College of Education.
Trustee Martin, we're done.
Questions or comments?
I have one more comment, please. I would hope that the guardrails that we put on the use of AI are not more stringent than the guardrails that will be coming out of the federal government, particularly given that this is a moving target and it's moving very fast. And I would hate to get ourselves in a position where, in fact, we're restricting the use of AI from our university in a way that's more stringent than that is coming from the federal government, thereby making it easier for others outside of our university to take advantage of AI versus those that we serve.
And hi, this is Robbie Meltons. Being part of that federal level and regional level and looking at the innovation and the opportunities and the possibility of AI, I can assure you that I will do my best to make sure that we are in alignment but also out front in terms of the enhancement of this tool for teaching and learning and for our communities.
Thank you. Do we have any additional questions or comments? Thank you, President Glover and Dr. Nelson, for your team presentation. As I was reading through the report, and I was just in awe all the things that we are doing at Tennessee State University. So again, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Student Affairs Report. Information regarding this Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee agenda item is included in your March 14, 2024 board materials.
Andre Johnson.
Provide information related to this agenda item. This is an informational discussion item only, so no vote will be required.
Thank you. Dean Stevenson? Oh, just a moment.
May I ask that when you speak, whether you are remote or in the room, please identify your name. I know all the voices, but there are others here that would like to know who's speaking, please. Thank you.
So look, let's go back. Okay. Ding.
Madam President, Chair Martin, Chair Cole, thank you for this opportunity to share and present on behalf of the Division of Student Affairs. Student Affairs has 14 different departments. Obviously, we're responsible for the wraparound services of the student experience here at Tennessee State University. There have been several questions in previous committee meetings around engagement, and so we wanted to be intentional in sharing what the student engagement experience looks like, and so we've included that in the report. I won't go through all of that. I'm going to highlight a few things. Also have invited some of our student leaders after talking with President Glover to share some updates on some student engagements as well, and so including our student trustee, our SGA president, and our SGA vice president, who are all here as well. So let me yield my time in the beginning to allow.
Before you move into that, sir, I would just like to ask that we recognize our student leaders that are present with us. It was my intent to do that a little quicker. I want to say we have Mr. Taylor with us, who is the president of the Student Government Association. We also have Ms. Aquino with us, who is the vice president of Student Government Association. And of course, we have our very own Mr. Wimberly with us. Thank you all. It was a pleasure to be with you all at the meeting that you had, and I was just thoroughly impressed with your leadership and your capabilities and intelligence. Thank you for joining us.
But before they start, let me just share with you in terms of student engagement. This is not something we just pull out of a hat. This is around best practices and research. We are trained in the area of student development. I mean, we understand the Chickering theory of student development, the 7 vectors of student development. We understand CAS standards. We're trained under CAS standards for every one of our areas. We understand what it looks like and what it should look like on a college campus in terms of developing students. And so we're very intentional in terms of what happens. And so we don't just have engagement events, but we have outcome-oriented engagement. And so we're measuring what did the students learn? How does this motivate their development? How are we intentionally putting them in scenarios and opportunities and preparing them for leadership in the outside world? So engagement encompasses all of those things that are goal-oriented. But also, let's be very transparent, students, if they wanted to just get a degree, they would go online. They want a collegiate experience, right? And so they're here for a collegiate experience. And so we're very intentional in that space. As the Chief Student Affairs Officer, I have to advocate. When I sit around the table at the cabinet meetings, I'm advocating, I'm pushing, I'm pressing. There's a lot of competing interests. And so, I have to shake VP Allen hand several times, and because he's so supportive, we appreciate that. But again, I'm advocating for students. When I start getting excited at the cabinet meetings and tell them that Glorilla's going to be on our campus, an NLE chopper, and they just stare at me like, yeah, Glo. So, I just have to make sure that I'm sharing the student experience and what's important to them. To that point, one thing that we're excited about, I shared this with President Glover many months ago, of the importance of getting our Olympic-sized swimming pool back online. It was an eyesore. It was not allowing the students to have those experiences. A pool that has been down for several years, not also including the academic experience associated with that. And so Dr. Glover used the power of her presidency and said, make it happen. And so it has happened, and our Olympic-sized swimming pool will be cutting the ribbon on that this spring. So we're excited about that. We also have our Tiger Pantry back up and going. I want to thank Dr. Heitch for his leadership in that role. Students on campus, we have to make sure we have that safety net to make sure they're not hungry, and that we are somewhat in a food desert in terms of the opportunities that are around us. And so we've been able to solicit donations to make sure that our Tiger Pantry is viable. We have now well over $40,000 in our Tiger Pantry Foundation from solicitations We just got $10,000 from Publix and from Kroger's to make sure that we are taking care of our students. Now, again, remember, we have all kinds of students. We have international students. We have students that can't go home, students that are here over the break. And so we want to make sure we are wrapping our arms around them. And that Tiger Pinch is allowing us to do that. So I wanted to tell Dr. Heiss, thank you for your leadership. And Crescenda, thank you for jumping on board to get that thing lifted up and moving in the right direction. We have a Leadership TSU class of 47 dynamic students that was just, we just had their, they were just sworn into the program, and so we're very proud of those students. This is our elite group of students that are selected by faculty, staff, administrators that go through an intense leadership training program. This cohort makes the 8th cohort, and again, they are exposed to amazing, amazing experiences. So again, let's talk a little bit about student engagement on our campus. We are excited about this spring. We have 8 of the 9 Greek organizations that will all be presenting this spring that are going through intake at this time. We've had new student organizations that have come online. You're talking about student leaders who are just making it happen and making sure our students are getting out of their room and engaging with each other. So this time I'd like for President Durrell to share, and then also Trustee Wimberly.
Thank you. Once again, I'm Durrell Taylor. I serve as the Student Government Association President. I would like to invite my Vice President, Crescendo Quinn, to report on behalf of student organizations. I will be thorough, but I will not be long. So I want to highlight some of the amazing things and opportunities SGA has been able to provide for students this semester. Considering this is my final meeting with you guys, my term is coming to a conclusion, I would like to say thank you all for your leadership throughout this academic school year. We've titled ourselves the Innovative 83rd Administration, and I truly believe we've been able to do some innovative things. So with that being said, I'll begin with a project that Dr. Glover and Dean Stevenson really extended their hands on helping us out with, which is an appreciation project for the aristocratic bands. We understand how impactful they are on our university campus, and we want to ensure that we are showing appreciation to the band and their counterparts. So we were able to give them a token of appreciation with the hoodies. We were also able to work with some leadership members of the band to discuss potential improvements to their practice facilities moving forward. So we're hoping to be able to present something to VP Allen and the board, hopefully by the end of the semester, as far as what we can do for our aristocratic bands moving forward. We've been able to introduce executive committees to SGA. So this is the first time SGA has actually opened the door to allow for students to meet with them directly as it relates to concerns of the student body. So we have 3 committees. They're all student-led, with students that are not currently in leadership positions, but they are collaborating with the SGA. So the 3 committees are student concern, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and civic engagement and public awareness. We've also implemented a $2.1 billion task force where students of different demographics are able to prioritize what we feel like might be the best approach on the student end of the $2.1 billion perspective. And this just comes towards advocating for the funds, educating the students, and ensuring that we are on top of this as this issue continues to progress. We also have been able to work with the residence assistants and the housing team during the transitions from the hotels back to campus, and several other occurrences with housing. So we're really, really appreciative of Ms. Parr and the housing team for being so willing to work with our student leaders. That does mean a lot. And thank you, Dean, for your leadership in that area as well. We've had a huge mission this semester, which was to really brand SGA to be a little bit more personable and relatable to the students. So we've really been intentional on a lot of big program where we can really network. So our Student Union Board of Governors, which is a branch of SGA, has been very intentional on some of those things. So we had a Super Bowl watch party, we had a Mardi Gras party, we had a lot of different opportunities for students to be engaged on campus with our Courtyard Wednesdays. With our athletics, we've had Greek nights and org nights for students to show up in numbers supporting our athletics team, and they actually just left Indiana over the past week to participate in supporting our Tigers in the OVC conference. Our Office of First Year Experience has done a dynamic job this semester with allowing for freshmen to become more acclimated to their campus experience. We've done a lot as far as Black History Month and implementing activities throughout that. And our representative for First Year Experience has received a national award in recognition of his student leadership and service. So we're really proud of him for that, Mr. Chandler Cotton. As it relates to our representative for financial aid, we have been able to complete a virtual FAFSA completion challenge to make sure students are engaged with their FAFSA and they are completing it in good rates. So we did award $25 gift cards on behalf of the Office of Financial Aid and our representative, and we're glad to have collaborated with them for that. And just bring back to housing a little bit, we had a conversation with students regarding the priority in which different classifications received their housing assignments, and we allow for the students to have an opportunity to voice their opinions, and thankfully the housing department was able to adapt the process of priority when it relates to assignments. So, for example, seniors will receive priority with the campus apartments, and juniors will receive, secondary priority, and so on. As far as our Student Election Commission, I did mention earlier my term is coming to a close, unfortunately. But however, our Student Election Commission is preparing to host our Elections Week, which is always a very, very engaging time on campus for students. That includes a presentation of candidates, a debate, a big food rally in Gentry, and just a lot of opportunities for students to engage with their future student leaders. And that will be all for the beginning part. And thank you, Dean, for mentioning the Tiger Pantry. That is something that we're also very excited to collaborate with Dean Heitch on implementing.
Alrighty, good morning, you all. I'm Krishonda O'Quinn. I currently serve as the SGA Executive Vice President. Along with that, I serve as the chairperson for the General Assembly. And the General Assembly is consisting of all of these student organizations and clubs at TSU. So I wanted to give a brief report on what the General Assembly has done thus far. As Dean Stevenson said, we do have new organizations this semester. We accept new organizations on a 2-year cycle. So this is the year that we accept them and they're able to program as a registered student organization or club at TSU. We have 4 organizations that have been reactivated, including our NAACP chapter here. We have American Society of Mechanical Engineering. Those are just the 2 of the few that have been reactivated this semester. We have 17 new organizations here at Tennessee State University. They have been accepted both this semester and this past semester. So they've done a really great job of keeping the students involved and making sure that all students feel included at TSU. Yesterday we had an organization fair. This consisted of 50 organizations just broadcasting what their organization is, their values, and what they stand for within their programming. A few ways that I've decided to get the organizations and students involved on campus. I have a VP Instagram account where I do Org of the Month monthly, just so that all organizations, both big and small, feel very recognized and appreciated at TSU. This semester, NPHT has been doing their organization week. So this week, the Alpha Psi chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated has decorated the hallways. So I invite you all to visit the Student Center and see the decorations that all of these organizations have been paying for and decorating the Student Center with. But organization engagement has been really great this semester. I'm excited to see what they'll do with the remainder of this semester, but that is the conclusion of my report.
So as we conclude, we would like to highlight the emergency meeting that we've had with students in recognition of the House and Senate bills that were proposed. So students are still in a very uncomfortable phase of this entire situation throughout this past year, and we're, as SGA leaders, are intentional on making sure that not only we are educating the students on the updates that are occurring, but we're also serving as a true liaison from the students to either the president's office or the board of trustees or whoever in which the students would like to have that connection with relative to answering their concerns regarding these issues. So the purpose of the emergency town hall meeting was to allow students to understand the severity of the decisions that are being held that are out of our hands. They're in the hands of the state of Tennessee. We understand that, but we are intentional on making sure that we have a intentional response. We're intentional on making sure that we're continuing our advocacy, and we're intentional on making sure that we have answers. So with that being said, the students are feeling directionless about navigating the board issue, the $2.1 billion issued, and the $250 million issue as well. And as we mentioned, our goal is to educate the students, but we are wondering what is surrounding the silence in response to this issue. We're requesting further information on what's being negotiated on behalf of our university, what is the plan, what we tell the students, and when we will have a response. But unfortunately, it's been too silent on our end of this issue. We want to ensure that we are essentially not going down without a fight, because the students value representation within the Board of Trustees and the President's Cabinet, and we are not necessarily conceiving consistent updates and communication regarding this issue. So we would love to have future conversations with them, members of the board, to gain further clarity on what we plan to do moving forward.
And before I speak, I want to add to that. Darrell, I think that what may need to happen is the meeting that we held at the Humanity, it was great. The students, they responded very well about what was going on when Dr. Johnson and Chair Cole came to speak about the bills. A lot of those students did not truly understand what direction we were heading, how it is going to affect the university. But after that, a handful of students came to me and like, okay, now I get the situation. I think we need to do that and more. If that means talking with SGA, if that means repeating that part too. But I think there should be more intentionality behind communicating with student leaders so that we can get this information across to the students who are sitting, a lot of them are kind of on the fence. Should I care? Why should I care? Does it matter? And quite frankly, our students don't just read newspapers anymore. If it's not on Instagram, if it's not in their face, they don't really care or know what's going on. But we can make them care. We can show them what's happening. So I just wanted to add to that before I go into my student affairs stuff.
Okay. Thank you, students. I do want you to know that yesterday I did, and over the last few days, we have brought it to the attention of the legislators that rarely can I get from my door from the building to my car without at least one or two students stopping me, asking me what's going on. They make it known they have two major issues. One, not to tear up our university and our governance structure and our board, and two, the 2.1 billion that seem to have fallen off the agenda. Those are the words from students and student leaders like you. Sometimes you all are saying the same things to me. And so it's good to go on record letting people know that the students are, what this is doing to the students, being teased about you don't have a school anymore, you're going to join UT. Although we know as adult leaders that that's not the agenda being presented to us. But when students are being teased and telling things that's different, it has a level of believability. And we heard you when you said something, you're concerned about the silence, that nothing is being said or done. And so that's something that I'm not going to address, but maybe somebody else may want to address. But we appreciate, those are the comments we appreciate from you as student leaders. I mean, you all are some of the best student leaders I have encountered. And I've been in higher education a long time. You're so thorough, you go to the issues, you decide what the issues are, and you're pretty much on point. So when you said to me you had two issues, one, making sure we get the money, and this seemed to be a distraction to you, and two, that the governance structure is important. Just says why is TSU being treated differently? And Chrissy, it seems to me you said you asked it to the governor. Why are we being treated differently from other universities? That's a valid question to ask. And so I commend you all for the stance you've taken.
Thank you.
Dr. Cole, may I say something, please? First of all, I want to say personally and from the board, I apologize for the fact that I feel like sometimes we don't communicate as effectively with the students. But what I want you to know, it doesn't mean we're not fighting. The thing about a war is there's many battles, and we're fighting several fronts at the same time. Mm-hmm. And I want you to understand that the first thing we have to do is to ensure the integrity of this university. And when I say the integrity, I mean moving forward as a front. If it's not us, it's got to be somebody. But they have to have the right agenda and the students at heart. This is not our fight. This is a fight for the students, for the alumni, and for all the people who've come before us. But I want you to know, please, that we are working tirelessly. We are meeting daily. We are meeting after hours. We are spending money to try to ensure that you all have the best opportunity and that you get what you bargained for. All right. First thing we have to do, in my opinion, is to shore up where we are now. We have a legislature with a supermajority. We have a legislature with an agenda, and we have to fight the battle in the most, I would say, in the smartest way we can, right? So in my opinion, we got to overcome the first hurdle of the integrity of the university, keeping the university together, not causing a mass confusion with a presidential search, with disbanding the board. That's the first thing. Then the second thing we do, once we get that done, we can go after what's rightfully ours. But I want the students to understand that there's steps involved in this. I love the what I would call rebellious culture of your age group, and it's so great to see you guys go out there and protest and get things and get online and cause change, and sometimes that works. But I want you to understand, when you're dealing with certain entities and when you're dealing with things that are outside of your control, it's sometimes best to figure out the right strategies to figure out how to get to the end game. But it is important that while doing that, we communicate with you guys effectively and ensure that you all know what's going on. And so that's what I apologize for. Not that we're not doing the work, but the fact that we haven't necessarily communicated with you all in the best way to let you know what's going on. And to be quite honest, sometimes you have to be careful in your communication, because your strategy sometimes needs to be kept secret. You have to understand that everything can't be said at all times. And so I do want you to know that on behalf of the board, on behalf of the president, we are working at it. We really are working at it. We all have different expertise. We're using our personal expertise, our personal relationships, and I commit to do better. I talk to Trustee Wimberly a lot on a personal level, and he called me about the meeting. I was out of town. I wasn't able to attend, but we have to do a better job of communicating, so I will commit to do that. But please understand, I want to reiterate, we are working on it diligently. And whatever the outcome is, we're going to get the money. I'm telling you that. We're going to get the money. But first, we have to ensure that the integrity of the university is kept in the way to proceed, and that we don't have to worry about the day-to-day drama. Because that's what this is. It's drama. And it's affecting the students, it's affecting us, and it's affecting the great things that have been done at this university in the last few years. So, again, I apologize, and I want you to know we are working on it.
As the chair, thank you, Attorney Johnson, very well stated. Stated it just like I taught him, but very well stated. And I want to thank you for inviting me to the meeting. It was an awesome meeting. The students were prepared. They did a training session during the meeting to teach the different bills, etc. I agree with Attorney Johnson that we probably do need to do a better job of communicating. I think, though, that at some time at the end of the day, after I've worked the job, I'm so tired after working TSU's free job that I don't necessarily maybe get to talk to whomever I need to talk to at the end of the day. But know that we are Tennessee State University's Board of Trustees until we are no longer TSU State University, Tennessee State University's Board of Trustees. And we are committed to what needs to be done to maintain this university in the tremendous status in which it is. So we are committed, very well stated, Attorney Johnson, and we're here. We will be here for you, okay?
And quite briefly, I have two points. I don't want to drag this on any long. I know we have this in the agenda. We can speak about this more later on. The first thing I wanted to lay out there on record, I'm going to law school. So my interest is there talk about lawsuit? Is there a talk about legal battles? Is that in our power? We can talk more about that into our own agenda, but I wanted to lay that out there. Is that possible, or do we?
What I
That I let our legal.
Okay.
what I'll say about that is I think everything's on the table.
Okay.
I think that in anything, the first thing you do is to try to negotiate, right? Lawsuits are expensive, they are time consuming, and you don't always get the results you expect. The governor gave us some of the money that was owed. He included in the budget. We thank him for that. But the new budget didn't have any money for Tennessee State. So I think what we need to do is wrap our hands around everything. We need to wrap our hands around everything and see where it goes. But all options are on the table, and we'll figure out what the best course is.
Okay. And my second point, and we can talk offline too. I think there may need to be a conversation between the board and the SGA leaders before at least their term is up. I liked what we had with the students, but I think perhaps a talk with them, with SGA. I know for a fact we can trust these leaders. And also on record, I want to say that it's been a pleasure working with you all. And I know we've been here 4 years, and to come from freshmen to now seniors, and see how far all three of us have came, it's been a blessing. These two are the hardest working students I know, and I work pretty hard myself. And I compete with Darrell, I compete with Kashonda in terms of who works the hardest. But their teamwork, their dedication, their commitment to this university is beyond without a doubt one of the greatest things I've seen. I'm just happy to have been here at this time with them. And like I said, we grew up together here, so it's a bittersweet, but. So thank you all for the work that you've done, and I just can't say that enough. But I do think that we need to have that conversation about how we're moving forward with these issues.
Thank you, Trustee Wimberly. We definitely appreciate your leadership.
Joelle and Krishanda, thank you for sharing your report. Also, I don't think we said, I know Wimberly, you're going to add something as well, but I want to announce it because we're so proud of Sean, who has been accepted into 2 law schools. I won't say the name, but he's been accepted into 2 law schools, so we're so proud of our student trustee. Let me share 2 more things, and then Wimberly, if you'll wrap up with that, with the other engagement things that I just need to make sure I share with this committee. One is that I've been intentional about making sure we give a housing report each time. Again, we appreciate Trustee Pinnick for his leadership in terms of when we were navigating some very tough waters around housing. We're in a good place. As of March 1st, we have no students in hotels. All of our students are on campus. Now, I will say it was tough to get them out of that hotel. When you have somebody, cleaning your room every day, and, so, and again, most of the students that were in the hotels, we allow self-selection. So these were students who selected to be in that space. And so, but again, we're happy to have them back on campus as we had the room. We did something this year that I think was a success. We're going to continue to do it. One is during spring break, I've had many students say, Dean Stevenson, I live far away. It's tough for me to go back home. Some students don't have home environments that's conducive for them to come back home for a week. And so we have to be sensitive to that. So I asked my staff, why did we make all the students go home over spring break? And of course, the answer was we've always done it that way, right? So we changed that policy this year to allow students to stay on campus. And some students needed to work. Some students weren't able to go home. We had over 1,500 students that stayed on campus, and we provided some services around them being here. And so, again, policies that don't make sense, that is intentional for students, that helps contribute to them being successful. We're also adding what's called year-round housing. Again, we have students who are coming from foster care, coming from different situations. They don't have your typical homes to go back to, right? This becomes their home. And so we have to navigate our policies to adapt to that. And then finally, as it relates to housing, this year we will have graduate housing for the first time. So we're excited about that. That application will open up in May for our graduate students, and we're very, very proud of that space. Again, we have applications for our first-time freshmen and our returning students, and for housing for the fall, and that's going very well. Very proud of Ms. Parr and the housing staff who have done a wonderful job. The final thing I need to report on is around our counseling services, and again, I just want to make sure I'm giving very accurate information. My grandmother told me, said, Frank, a lie will go around the world twice before the truth can get its shoes on. And so we've had some untruthful things said about our counseling services. And the truth of the matter is that we're very proud of the direction that our counseling service is going in under the direction of Dr. Collins, our interim director. First of all, for the first time in a very long time, the staff has worked really hard, and we have no waiting list at all for our counseling services. Thank you again, Dr. Collins, for the many long hours that you and your staff have put in to make this happen. We were not utilizing the appropriate technology in our counseling services, and we've upgraded that. We initiated the Titanium system through a contract. This keeps the medical records of those student notes. We weren't using that. We had it just needed to be corrected, and it has been under our new leadership. We also have a system called Protocol that we will begin working with on next week that allows for after-hours services. We did a contract addendum so that we can do virtual meetings with students and use some of those spaces there, so we're very proud of that. But the thing that makes the most sense that we did in terms of utilizing what we already had on campus was, since I've been here 10 years, we have not had a relationship with the psychology department, which is, just makes no sense, because our psychology department is an accredited doctoral granting program with expertise out of this world, one of only 2 HBCUs accredited in the nation. So it would make no sense that we're not using those master and doctoral level students so that they can practice on campus instead of going to other places. Well, that has changed, and now we have 7 of those master's and doctoral level students who are helping us in our counseling center, getting their hours, getting trained, and are able to relate to our students. Just a small fix that made sense. Picking up the phone, meeting with Dr. Webb and others in that department. We're grateful for that. It just makes sense. A wonderful marriage between academic affairs and student affairs that allows us to be successful in the care of our students. And so again, we are staffing up. We now have, I know some board members had asked me about this, we're now going to have a permanent home for our counseling center. And so, again, based on CAS standards, location for counseling centers matter, right? And so how students access their service, it matters where it's located. And so we've been trying for years to get a permanent home for our counseling center. Right now, it's housed adjacent to our career center, and that's just not best practices. And so we're moving very, very quickly. Met with Will Rafford yesterday to talk about the design and the plans and how quickly we can get that moved so that we'll have a state-of-the-art counseling center where students can go and feel comfortable and have that space. So I wanted to share those 2 updates. The main thing I want you to know is that our counseling services is going in the right direction, and we're fixing some things that needed to be fixed. We're getting the right staff. It's a tough job to hire for. I've had to fly and recruit. It's a tough job because in that space you got a lot of opportunities, and so it's really tough to hire. But we're working really hard, and I want this board to be familiar with that and any other narratives are just false narratives, because we're very proud of what's happening in that space. So I'll yield at this time and allow Mr. Wimberly to share also some other points that he needed to share.
And I'll be brief. I know we may be going over time. I wanted to add to the student affairs report. First off, Dean Stevenson, I was going through the book, and I'm like, it keeps going. So this is great, and I've seen just the atmosphere of the campus change from how it's been the past 2 years, and it coming from COVID. So I appreciate that as being a student and just watching everyone kind of have fun again and get that TSU spirit back. I wanted to add, I saw that the game room was listed here, and I think this is very important because I've had a chance to visit other universities, and one thing that I've been really wanting to hone in with TSU is increasing our, strengthening our value proposition. What makes our university better for these students versus this university or that university? And when I look at some parts of our campus and compare it to other schools, they have spaces that help enrich or strengthen this community amongst themselves. And one space that we have is the game room. So some students and I did a survey about 100 students, and a lot of students are wanting to see renovations and updates to the game room. And I think that in the plan moving forward, that should be an avenue that we take. I have ideas. I have plenty of responses about some things like including LED lights, a neon sign, maybe have students come down there, paint on murals, or even having community service to repair some of the walls down in the game room. But I think that is a great start moving forward when it comes to building that this space for students outside of the academic experience. I want to keep that at that point. We could talk offline about moving forward, but I just wanted to add that and put that on record.
No, thank you for sharing it. It's a space that most faculty and staff have probably never even visited, but it is highly utilized. You can go in there and find hundreds of students hanging out and having a good time. So thank you for lifting that up. That concludes my report, and I'll answer any questions, Madam Chair, that you may have.
Well, Dean, I don't have a question, but what I would like to commend you on is recognizing, one, that we did have a problem, and two, finding solutions to those problems. I thank you from your report. It's a very thorough report. I think that we have addressed a number of the very significant issues that we needed to address. Thank you so much.
Chair Cole, if I can just ask a quick question or a comment.
Please.
Dean Stevens, thank you so much. You know I've been asking for data, and I appreciate you providing that, and I appreciate you recognizing, and all of us recognizing, that an engaged student body is the lifeblood of this university, and so the engagement is the key. So thank you very much.
Trustee Martin.
Thank you. I'd just like to applaud Tennessee State University student leadership. When you look at all the things they have done, they're doing, and they continue to lead, it's just amazing. I have a hard time, as old as I am, embracing all the things that have happened that are happening now. You've gone through COVID. You've gone through housing issues. You're going through a presidential search. I could just go on and on. So I just want to thank you all for your leadership and continuing to just stand for what is right. And standing for your university. You know that Tennessee State University is not only one of the best HBCUs, but one of the best universities. And so I'm just so proud of all of you all, and I know in the future we will be able to say, I remember when, because you all are going to do great things. I want to thank President Glover and Dean Stevenson for their leadership. As Chair Cole normally says, this was a robust report. And so I just have notes all over the place. I also want to thank Attorney Johnson for his acknowledgement of how sometimes we have fallen short. But I agree with everything you have said. Just know we all, every single board member is out there working. And we have certain lanes we're staying in, but every single board member is out there working hard for Tennessee State University students. So thank everyone for all that they are doing. The next item on the agenda is the report on the Student Trustee Board Resolution. Information regarding this Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee agenda item is included in your March 14, 2024 board materials. President Glover, will you provide pertinent information related to this agenda item? And again, this is informational discussion item only, so no vote will be required.
Trustee Martin, I failed to be very specific in my comment to Dean Stevenson, and I do apologize for that. Dean Stevenson, I wanted to specifically thank you for the counseling center. Okay. Yes, for taking care of what needed to be done with it, for making it a reality. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Martin. Trustee Wimberly, you ready for the resolution?
Yes,
Okay.
Okay, so I believe I sent this proposal to you all, I want to say about 2 weeks ago. Maybe have you all had a chance to look through the proposal? Okay. Essentially, it's, in my time as being student trustee for the 2 years, I truly believe this position is of high importance. I think that now, considering the climate of what the university is and what is needed on behalf of the Board of Trustees, that this role needs to be supported more. And in doing so, I believe that the student trustee needs to have the ability to appoint a student trustee committee. And in doing so, the board is almost like a tool to help improve the board's work, and everything that I've done in my time here, my research, my surveys, my thoughts, my comments has come from the committee that I built unofficially. But I do believe now that it's time to have that approved by the board and written somewhere, because my time here is up. It's not Sean's student trustees committee, it's the student trustee committee. So I wanted to get that written or officially as a resolution. I wanted to get you all's approval on that, and I want to hear you all's questions and inputs. I have did a lot of work with this for about 2 years now, and I've worked with students. I have information on before and after when I did not have a committee at the beginning of my tenure, and then to having one now, how efficient I have become when it comes to talking with 9,000 students, working with faculty, working with state legislators, and trying to complete all these responsibilities as just one student. So I'm open for questions and discussion about this resolution.
How are you? I have a couple of comments. I think this is a great idea. I think that from a resolution perspective, I'd like to see some things in here that I think would help both parties. I would recommend that you have the trustee would have a mentor from the board that's kind of assigned to them that can help them navigate some of the things, kind of be the liaison between the board while you're the liaison with the student. Secondly, I think that we might need to work on some of the language a little bit in here to just ensure that we meet all of the protections and legalities that we need to meet in working with this. One thing that concerns me, you're very capable and reasonable, but I'm not sure if I like the statement, the student trustee will determine individually the activities and initiatives. We might have a nut at some point, right? And there needs to be some type of mentorship that happens. All right. So what I would suggest, I don't want to wait till the next board meeting to address this, but what I would ask is that maybe I can work with you on the language. We draft some things up, and then maybe Piddleton, can we poll the board maybe, or do some type of email type of vote?
Perhaps what we could do is we could have the board delegate and designate and authorize you to complete the resolution item that lays out the items that you're talking about in terms of a board mentor and some other things. So the board can delegate to you the authority to complete the resolution items.
And with the criteria, so it won't have a 1.8 unless that's what they want. I mean, you want to have some criteria for the students.
Correct. So I would take on that responsibility. I will work with Mr. Wimberly. I want to get it done like in the next week or two. I'm not trying to pass it, but I do think we need to work on it a little bit just to fine tune it and send something back that you would find acceptable.
Yeah. So again, what we'll do is, this is just a report item. In the main board meeting, there is the approval of board resolution. What we do is change that to really the approval of the board's delegation of authority to you to be able to finalize the resolution.
And go ahead.
Over to President.
Thank you.
Yeah, in consultation with the president.
And so now would that be to the name? So whenever your term is up and my term is up, is that up for?
So what we're going to do is we're going to work on the resolution. It'll have no names in it. It'll have nothing to do with you or I.
Okay.
But we'll have the authority to come up with a resolution and then work with the president and present that to the board. What I'm trying to avoid is waiting till the next board meeting because we don't know if we're going to have a board.
Right.
Right. So I want this done. So I think it needs some work, and I don't think it's ready for today, but I want it done very quickly. So I want to work with you in the next week or so on some language on it.
So-
That's okay.
Yeah, keeping in mind, one other thing, keep in mind, is that we've had a series of great student trustees. As you mentioned, you never know what's going to be in the future, but also this resolution is going to be applicable to all student trustees moving forward.
So let me understand, just a point of clarification. So the real intent behind it is a continuity of leadership or transfer of knowledge from one group to the next group. Is that right? Or
As in the groups being the committee?
as in the groups being the committee. So if there are issues, if there are things that are important to roll over to the next student trustee or roll over to the next.
Yes.
So what we're trying to do is ensure that the knowledge is transferred from year to year.
Yes,
Okay.
that's one of the reasons too. So with that committee being in place, because when I came into the role, I'm just by myself. So I talked with the previous trustees, but it was more about the role, but their work was lost. Their ideas were lost. The knowledge was lost. The idea is that this committee, right now we have a Google Drive, or we have a whole platform that we use. Right now the idea is that this can get passed on from trustee to trustee, not forcing trustees to follow anything, but like myself, I would have loved to have built whatever I wanted to do for my tenure off the knowledge of what my previous trustees had. And additionally, the committee is there to help support and make the role more efficient. In my time, it took several months for me to learn how to research, learn how to poll students, learn how to connect with students, learn how to bring it back to the board, how to do all of these responsibilities at once. And I believe that is inefficient.
I think what would be equivalent to it is that the faculty staff representative has a faculty staff committee group that lift up ideas that individual brings to this space. And so the student trustee is in terms creating a committee to help lift up, poll, have ideas so that they're prepared when they walk into this meeting and already have taken the temperature of students and are lifting those in this space. And so I think that's the idea. Again, like Attorney Johnson said, just a little cleaning up, because even those committee members that are appointed, we can't have students who are disciplinary probation or who are not academically where they need to be on the committee, or who are walking around and not even in school, just pretending to be, right? So you got to have some thresholds there too, but that's the thrust of what Trustee Wimbley is doing.
And I think what this can do is go to what we were just talking about earlier. I think this can help, but if we set this up right, it can help that communication and that lack of
Absolutely.
Everything will just be more clear.
Absolutely.
And then you'll have the support from whoever mentoring you on the board or whoever is there to go with you to those meetings and give you advice, and then they can bring that back to what I call the elders on the board,
Absolutely.
right? Because sometimes our languages are different. Everybody talks about love languages, but I can't understand any song on the radio right now. So I think that you guys speak a different language sometime, and we need to be better at understanding your language.
Absolutely.
Okay, do we have any additional questions or comments?
As Chair Pendleton, is there any specific move that we need to make to give Attorney Johnson the authority to move through with this, along with working with Mr. Wimberly and President?
Yeah, so this is only a report item here. We're going to have this as a separate agenda item in a main board meeting, and that's when we will do the delegation of authority at that
Yeah,
time.
that's what I'm saying, so we can get it done today at the next meeting. Thank you.
Okay, trustee, thank you for coming up with student trustee board motion. And again, trustee Johnson stepping up and assisting with this and making sure that moving forward. Are there any additional questions or comments? I'd just like to say that it is an honor to serve as chair of the this committee, to be able to walk proudly and say that everyone involved on this committee and this entire board have made some amazing changes and have strived for excellence. With the leadership of President Glover and the faculty, staff, students, leaders, everyone. I can't thank you enough. From the outside looking in, people don't always know how much work goes into everything, so it's very easy for you to make comments and say what's not being done. I won't say that we have been perfect, but what I do know is that we have worked hard, and we have made some amazing changes, and as Chair Cole said, we've identified so many things that need to be done, and as we identify them, we have made major changes that necessarily weren't easy to do. You know, it's hard to make something out of nothing, and that's what I say we have done. So I just want to say that I am just so proud of chairing this committee. Chair Post, thank you for allowing me to do this. Dr. Glover, thank you for everything you continue to do with your vision and your leadership. So with that, is there any additional business?
I'd like to also just thank you, Chair Martin, for your leadership. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hearing none.
Oh, here's one. Okay, hold on. Here's one. Robbie Melton. On behalf of our academic esports, under the leadership of Dr. Chisholm, TSU won the #1 2024 NFL esports in Madden. And again, you all have to understand, we are the only HBCU with an academic esports. We pathway video gaming into our STEM careers, and we play to learn, and we learn to play. We are #1. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nelson. As you say, life is good.
Life sure is good.
Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee adjourn the meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none, the questions on the motion to adjourn the meeting. Secretary Pendleton, please call the roll, sir.
As you do, we'll have a second.
Second.
Trustee Martin? Trustee Martin?
Aye.
Trustee Andre Johnson?
Aye.
Trustee Bill Johnson?
Aye.
With 3 ayes.
Thank you. The motion is approved. We are adjourned.